Hello, my name is Doreen Omosele.
I'm Doreen Omosele.
We've been married for 5 years
And
we
we're
are
popularly known as the Aarons.
Okay, 5 years.
Yeah.
December 2018. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's your first shocker in marriage?
I won't call it that. My first is our first shocker.
First shocker.
I told you it's our first shocker.
Okay.
Okay, so honeymoon was great. We looked forward to it. We waited, but I thought that marriage was just going to be about honeymoon, the old sex and all of that, but I didn't see certain things that were going to eat us. After honeymoon, I remember we had to sleep on the floor. Our house was not yet ready. I mean, it wasn't something we could even come out to say. Where we paid for then, you remember what happened? The rent, the person had not moved out, so we had to squat,
memories.
And we slept on the floor in the living room. But I can't remember feeling bad, to be honest. So I won't say it was like a shocker.
I was the man. I'm the man rather. So I felt bad.
Really?
Okay, so I remember vividly I had friends who wanted to come visit, classmates. I just had to tell them, see, you can't come. I couldn't give them reasons. Okay, so the funny thing was, okay, so we made payment for a house.
Yeah.
It was a house of someone very close. So I thought, okay, it was going to leave some of the properties and all. And going to Benin, carrying my wife. After honeymoon, 1 week honeymoon, I remember I brought you to a house where I had the owner of the house and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So the first 2 to 3 weeks, as a married couple,
yeah,
we were sleeping on the floor. It was.
For me, I think I was lost in the euphoria of I'm in love. I just got married, I was still in that honeymoon phase. So nothing had hit me yet, but I'm glad we eventually found a place. We had to trust God and pray and say, God, do something, because it was looking like we're going to be here for like another 2-3 months. So we had to hold hands as a couple and pray. And then God literally led us to a place. So we had to move. People get married and they move to, in fact, before they get married, they've already settled, but we were already married. I think about a month after, we had to move to a very little beginning apartment.
It was indeed little beginning. For months, we could not even put curtain in the house.
Yeah, it's months, almost a year.
Very interesting. And I think, interestingly, I got my first 9 to 5 as a married man, working in Lekki, living in is it Awaya now? Yes.
Spending maybe 50% of the salary on transport.
And, I was working Monday to Saturday.
Sometimes even
Sundays,
Saturday, yeah.
Even some Sundays.
Yeah.
And the beginning phase of the marriage, I couldn't really spend time with you. Lagos traffic, I was getting home 11 p.m., 12 a.m.
Eating
days,
dinner,
the following day.
Breakfast 1 a.m.
And the following morning, 5:30 a.m., I'm already rushing to big traffic back to Lekki. It wasn't the best of the introductory part of marriage.
You didn't envisage all of this.
I never, as a student or preparing to marry, if someone had mentioned that those were going to be the first months 1 year married, I was going to argue. But it faced me. It became reality, and I needed to get us out of that. It was the only thing I was consumed with. Like, I promised this woman a lot. And I remember I remember crying to God, and it's bringing a lot of memories right now, because I remember crying to God. I said, God, this is not it. As a young man, I could even pray and get things happen very fast. But becoming a married man, it became very difficult. I could literally not afford some things I could. As a student, I was doing business. I was making money.
Yeah.
Then I got married. It became 10,000 naira. Became
Like,
a miracle. It was a lot.
Remember how we had to even go and borrow stove from our neighbor? Like, I was like, this. I'm not from like a very rich home, but we were comfortable.
Yeah,
and I was like, what is this? I remember my brother, when they came to visit us, my siblings, they looked at the house, they looked at me, and I can't remember what he said, but he said something
I remember. He said, Donne, because of course
that's my native name.
He said, Donne, you practically ran out of the house because
to come and
suffer. Hearing those words, I couldn't cry in front of you guys, but it brought tears to my eyes. And I remember I was with a friend, and he started doing well. After I got married, he got a car, and we were in his car. And he said something. We were just talking. I was just lamenting and saying a lot of things. What's happening? Everything I know to do when I got to a fix, I did. I fasted, I prayed, I coasted, I did everything and he said something. He said, guy, how far? The Bible says he that finds a wife has found a good thing. I'm saying the good thing. What's up? What's up? So the unspoken word by him was, okay, you should say you marry right. Like, I sat down in his car, and to tell the truth, I started thinking, okay, Aaron, how far did you really? Was it? I started thinking of a lot of thought. Did I marry? First, did I marry right? Second, did I marry at the right time? I started asking, okay, what were my convictions? Because I went through everything any man would not want to go through as a married man.
And even going through all of that, I tried getting a job, it wasn't working, and I want to say we got pregnant. I got pregnant, and
we got pregnant too. the stress and everything.
Oh my God, I got pregnant, and then we're so excited. I already knew from uni days that our first baby was going to be a girl, because I saw her one of those days while I was praying. So I went for a scan, and then the doctor said, oh, you're pregnant, but your baby's not growing, so you have to remove it. I was like, remove what?
So we actually do a lot of work around teenage pregnancy and reach out to the girl child, and one of the things we preach against is abortion. So then when the doctor mentioned that, so they call it D and C, right? And that means I will now be the one to decide that we're going to go for an abortion. I remember then I said, no, we're not going to do this. We would wait it out, we would fate it, and we would do all. Then that fateful day.
Before you even talk about, if at the fating part process, I laughed one day when we were told to break bread. And the bread you were even bringing to break was so big. And I was wondering, is this one food? Because we were really desperate. And we trusted God. We prayed like this baby would stay. I read testimonies of people that, the baby actually, scaled through the ninth week. Because they said once the pregnancy can get to the ninth week, you're fine. The faithful day was the very day that I ate ninth week. And that was the day that I saw lumps of blood.
Then I was in my very interesting office, and I got a call. And you were crying. I jumped in the office car, and we drove home. And I can say that was I can even say still the scariest day or moment of my life. I saw my young wife in a pool of her own blood. And
in pain.
In pain.
It was not funny.
I was scared. And I think that was barely 1 year.
It was like maybe 6 months. I was in pain. I literally cried. And the hospital we went to book was Ekpe Hospital.
Yeah.
It was not even like a stone throw. I felt like I was going to die before we get to the hospital. I'm serious.
No idea. You know,
In the car, you guys were. I was all over the place screaming. You know, I got to the hospital. I was rolling on the floor. It was more like giving birth, but you were not birthing anything. You know, and by the time they could attend to me, they said I had, you know, removed everything. So it was more like the remains. You know, all of these things happening to us as a young couple, that we had God concerning this union. You know, we literally waited, you know, honored God through it all, told ourselves, well, we're going to keep ourselves, you know, we're going to do it right. And facing all of this, it made me question God at some point. Like, God, what exactly are we not doing right? I never thought I did my right, because I heard God. I heard God about you, you know. So I knew that something was not right, you know, and it took a while. I think about how many years before we finally got it that we're actually not at the right place.
Sincerely, I did everything I know to do.
Yeah.
I fasted. I prayed. But I threatened God. I bribed him. I did, because as a young man,
we sowed seeds. Like, I remember sowing a seed. I think our rent, I think we sowed a part of it, and then when it was that time to pay, I said, babe, go and collect this seed back from this person you gave.
Everything I read about, everything I was taught, everything I did as a student, as a young man, I did, but nothing was working. We could not even, for over a year, we could not even afford to put a curtain. We couldn't have people come visit us. And we were, I remember vividly, one of the things I perceive God will have me do is have young people preparing to get married to come stay with us. And we just talk about the things that God has taught us in marriage. And 1 year into marriage, I'm saying, I can't even have people, we're staying in a room, is it, okay,
living room, and
one room and a parlor, right? I couldn't even have people come visit us.
Our bed was in the living room.
I remember when a friend came, and the wife said something to you, and I think I actually...
Did she say something? She gave me this look like, you're trying, no? And I remember going to cry in the restroom. Like, in fact, before they came, I cried. Like, God, I don't want this. Can we just go through our process in peace? You know, and when she came, and then she, you know, she just looked at me, this eye of, you're trying, because she's this kind of person, that very touch girl. She couldn't have even, you know, stood all of this, all of what I was going through. And she just looked at me like, and that pity look really, really got to me. And I remember crying again, like, God, you know. So fast forward to when we even had our first baby. And then it was time for naming. Our house was still not okay.
Let me share. All right, so when baby Graceful came, so our first baby Graceful, of course, she came through CS, right? And everything was fine. Everything was good. Doctors, congratulatory message was coming in and all. Then the morning after, we started having high blood pressure. The doctor asked me, what happened? I could not tell him. What was the reason? You were concerned that we'll have to do naming in that house. You had and I remember vividly standing somewhere in the hospital. I said, God, I don't understand. How will I tell a doctor now that my wife has BP?
I told you I don't want a baby naming. I told you, like, can we just name the baby in the hospital? Because I'm not Yoruba and I don't get the old Yoruba thinking with 7 days after our naming. Let's just name the child in the hospital. Why must people come to the house, you know, and stress me and then judge me? And then I was like, no, I'm not doing this, you know. But thank God for our spiritual father.
Okay, so I think we'll eventually get
Oh
to the
my
point,
God.
the church thing and all.
Yeah.
And so I went to meet our spiritual father, and I
Pastor
discussed
Shegun
with him.
Obaje.
I told him about what was happening.
Did you? I don't think he knew about the house
No,
thingy.
no, I didn't mention. I just told him
Yeah,
that
we needed to
the
name.
distance and everything, and that I needed to name the baby, and he agreed to
Yeah.
name the baby.
Yeah.
For me, that was God answering my prayer, because Apostle Shegun Obaje had stopped.
They said that was the first
That
time
was the
after
first
5 years.
time. Sincerely, I prayed, because I
Wow.
couldn't really go tell people that we want to name baby. I can't even face my folks to tell them we want to name baby in the hospital,
Oh, Zoom.
because
Which should have been better.
and my wife, then I stopped paying the bills. The money that was not even available, and I started buying BP drugs for you, and they were very expensive. The doctor, of course, the doctor friend was concerned. What's happening? Did you tell your wife any news? I just say, I don't know, because I was not going to tell
My
her
dad called
that
me.
that is because of naming.
My dad called me that a friend of his just died from BP. I was like, God, what's going
So
on?
Apostle agreed to name the baby, and that was
Yeah.
what helped me that season,
Yeah.
because I was going to lose it.
Yeah.
And Baby Graceful was named, and we couldn't even allow people come visit us afterwards. So from
I had to go to Ikorodu, stay with my mom.
That's true.
Because my mom's place was a bit better. So anybody that wanted to visit me,
Yes.
at my mom's
I
place.
remember my dad had issues, and he called me. He said, God, what's happening now? I couldn't really explain to anybody that we didn't even have a curtain in the house. Not to talk of TV or anything.
Yeah.
And
We're using one cloth like that.
to cover. And I told him that that's what I just needed, people to take care of you. That's the reason. So
Yeah.
my first child, people could not come visit, and because we couldn't do it, the regular Yoruba naming and all, and this thing is bringing a lot of memories. But I'm just going to laugh it off. But it was
Yeah.
a season. It was a season indeed.
It took us a while to understand that it was basically because we were not meant to be in Lagos. Because everything we tried, to do, to remain in Lagos, to be in Lagos, kept fighting us, Even when, we started to see a bit of prosperity, you were able to furnish the house a bit, they came and served us quick notice that we needed to leave because they wanted to renovate. So we're like, we need to find another place. We literally searched and searched. In fact, I found a place I literally loved. The money was in, 7 figures. We could afford it at that point. But then the landlord came and said, he's not giving it out again. I remember crying and saying, babe, I'm traveling, I'm leaving this country. I'm not doing it again, And I remember I woke up to a call. My husband was one picking the call and was like, the person was like, yes, we want to admit your wife to South Africa. There is an opening. I said, babe, bring the phone. This is an open door. I am done with Lagos. I am done. I don't think I'm meant to be here, but I later realized that was a demonic instigation. The enemy just wanted to get us out of the will of God, and I remember speaking to my spiritual authorities about it, and they were like, no, this is not it. Because even my husband, you're a very calm person. If I wanted to leave at that moment, he would have said, yes, fine, don't worry, be going, but over time, the Lord just had to help us, shine light in our hearts. We had to pray, like, God, what exactly is going on? Show us what we are not seeing. And at that time, I think we're expecting our second baby. And then it dawned in our heart that there is an assignment that God has for us that we're joking with.
As a student,
Yeah.
There was a word that came through my spiritual father, Pastor Shegun, that we were going to take the love of Christ to sex workers.
Yeah.
All over the world,
we
right?
were just
and
in a relationship.
Just caught in them. I had an NGO that reached out to pregnant teens and teen mom. sex workers was never part of it. So, being in Lagos, nothing was working. Nothing. I went through every insult a man can go through. Went through every embarrassment, friends, family.
I remember when I said something to you one time that I think you literally cried. I had to report myself to my mentor. What have I done? When you said that with this thing that I said, it could actually push a man to compromise at his workplace because you had opportunities to make more money, but because of your relationship with God and the values you uphold, you were like, you're not going to cheat or anything. I mean, the first time I saw you cry, you didn't even cry when we were doing I Do. You cried that day. I was like, no, this is really, really difficult. And going back to where we later realized that we had to say yes to the ministry to reach out to sex workers. I remember two things came to my mind strongly that period of when we're like, what's going on? I remember 2019 praying and God said, I would give you your house if you give me my house.
True.
And I remember what he meant. I knew he was talking about the rehabilitation center for sex workers. I thought it was a joke, like, okay. Then I remember that when I was a student, after that word had come that will take the love of God sex workers, I remember God said it was going to start in Ile-Ife. But I thought all of this was just a joke. Let's just get married. We wanted to be based in Calabar, where you were 7, and we prayed, but we felt this resistance, like, no, yes, and we're like, no, okay. So we just concluded, let's go to Lagos. So that's the mistake we made. Like, okay, let's just go to Lagos. Since you grew up in Lagos and all of that, we have family in Lagos, let's go there. And that's what caused all this struggle. The moment we decided to take that turn, and then we just had to move our things, move everything to Ife. In fact, the beautiful house I've been looking for all my life, it was waiting for us. God began to literally just lift us. And by the grace of God, the rehab is running. And it's so important that, we knew that our marriage was not just, let's just get married and have children. We knew that we were getting married for a purpose, but we did not know the extent to which God was going to take this thing to the point that it was going to discomfort us. It wasn't funny. And I'm grateful to God for preserving us, because what I know is that when you are not in the will of God, it's very risky. A lot of things can happen. I remember going for administration and I was robbed. It was a lot. And I want to say thank you for being strong, for not losing it. Even me, I know I lost it at some point. I'll be like, I'm not doing this God thing again. And I was seeing in the morning, you'll be like, Father, I gave you praise. I'm like, I don't understand.
It was difficult. To tell the truth, it was difficult because, like I said, everything I was taught about faith, I did.
Wow.
Everything.
Wow.
Everything. Like, I'll go some days, weeks without food, coasting.
During COVID, you prayed.
Oh, God. During COVID, you were in Ikorodu. And of course, understandably so, you had to go because your mom's place was being more comfortable.
And I forgot. Remember how I used to react to the house? Like, it has never happened to me. I'll literally see reactions on my skin just by being in the house or seeing somewhere in the house. I'll start to have, like, writings on my body. It was like, Lagos, what are you doing here? Leave. Like, even the house
was trying to eject us.
As in, it was a lot.
And during COVID, at that point, I had to tell God that, see, if it happened that I married wrong, sincerely, just forgive me. And that's because
Are you serious?
Had so much going to marriage. Wow. When those times when you pray, you just know what to do. If I give someone 3 days fasting, you to walk. I did everything. God help me. And so during COVID gave me an opportunity to really, I took some step back and just said, you know what, God, whatever it is, you just help us. And it was at that time that I made the decision that we're going to move to a particular ministry. And that was when I made the decision.
Oh,
and I think it's time to even talk about church. That season was a transitory season for me, and being the man and the house, it was going to be a transition for my family as well.
So we thought that maybe we're not in the right spiritual lineage, and it was part of it, but we sort of got one right, but also got the whole entire location thing wrong, So we got that, we're in the wrong spiritual place, so it's time to move. And also you shared, and I'll share the blunders I made.
Being the father, I was raised in a particular place. I'm this person. Commitment for me is a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm a very committed person.
Yeah.
If I commit to this person, and I think that's actually what you enjoy too as a student, committing to the relationship. I knew I was going to marry you. There was no... So being in that particular ministry, transition happened. The pastor that I was serving under was going to leave. Then 2 churches were merged, and the pastor called me and said, "Son, boy, I'll be leaving, and I need to know what your plans are." And I told him I will leave too, but I want to stay back to help the new pastor put things in place, because I knew people that were going to work with him, they will give him issues. I didn't know I was doing that at the detriment of a lot of other things. So, and I think that was what I communicated to you. So when it was time, you started asking, "Babe, can we move now?" For me, I felt it wasn't time yet. And with the fact that nothing was working, well, I would say some of the things you did, you took overboard, but justifiably so. Because a woman, of course I was told, and I've come to learn by experience, that a woman is created for comfort. I stand to be corrected regardless of their spirituality, sincerely. Once there's a level of comfort expected that is not there. a prayer warrior and a woman of God can misbehave. I've come to learn by experience. So you really started misbehaving that period. Understandably so. I wasn't getting food at the time I was supposed to get it. Sex was a luxury for me then. You were really, and I remember there was a service in the other church where I stood up and said, "I think I need to see a psychologist," because work was not working, marriage was not working. You were giving me a lot of hotness at home. Everything that I could have been enjoying in marriage was not. And sincerely, I understand that comfort expected was not there. And that was when I started thinking, okay, I needed to go see my mentor. Which was a pastor that left. And he said to me that he's surprised that I'm still there. I know. Said he's surprised that I'm still there. At that point, I knew it was time to move. Then the next interesting thing happened. When I discussed it with the present pastor,
he said you're not going anywhere.
I wasn't going anywhere. And it became a talk show. Okay, then I now said, okay, I went to the pastor of where we were moving to. Okay, you know what? For now, let my wife be coming here. I will remain back until I am released well, because I understand what spiritual authority means. And in our words, that is, she said, that cannot happen. Where you are is where your wife will be. I went back to the pastor and I said, okay, I need to leave. And he said, no, I know at that point you stopped attending church. Then I went through a very interesting time. People that I taught foundation school, they will come. I remember vividly. A student came to me and said, Brother Aaron, let me say it in Yoruba, and I'll interpret it. But Aaron, eti Jesu. Do you know what that means?
What's
He's
it mean?
eating the forbidden fruit. Because everybody thought I was going to be like the next person that they will hand over. Sincerely, I was very engaged. I was, when it comes to God's work, I'm all in. And at that point, I started withdrawing. I remember vividly there was a time the pastor gave me opportunity to minister. And then I was going to talk, it was during Valentine, something. I was going to teach on love, marriage, and all. I couldn't look at the people. I was looking up or down. Because my wife was not in church. There was no way I could really communicate what I was going to teach. I couldn't really look into people's eyes. And I could really see that, no, I beg, just talk and live there. Because it was like, okay, you are talking. Your wife is about to drag you. Because everybody started knowing that it seems Beron was going to leave. And the people that I taught, workers in training, foundation school, I started hearing words behind saying that ordinarily the way it works is it is a man that should bring his wife to the church, but this our own brother Aaron is a woman that is coming to take him, and they didn't know what I was facing. I had the struggle, right? Because I knew I was going to face that persecution. I knew, but I needed to, and then sincerely,
I made it very interesting.
You made it very interesting. You were everywhere.
I'll bring my laptop to church. I'll be working. Because the truth is, babe, I don't want to say I'm spiritual, but I'm very sensitive, spiritually. And I think at that time, I didn't know how to apply wisdom. If I'm in a place and I know that I'm not meant to be there, I know. So it was very, very obvious, and I was very young then, young wife and all of that. So I showed it, and I'm this very transparent person. I don't know how to, no. So I made it clear to everybody that, see, I'm not supposed to be here. But I wish I could have done it better. I would have done it better, apply more wisdom and all of that. I remember when we wanted to do wedding Thanksgiving, and that was like the icebreaker, like the icebreaker. And I was at home, and you're like, oh, let's come and do Thanksgiving.
We were going to do our wedding Thanksgiving.
Our wedding Thanksgiving was in 1 year after. We didn't do immediately.
We're going to do wedding Thanksgiving, and
he called me.
Friends,
family.
I had family member come. My wife was not in church.
I was like, I'm not coming, because I am not happy here. I'm not happy in this church. I don't like the people. I don't like the things they do. Like, can we just leave? And you're telling me to come and be doing Thanksgiving for what? So I remember it was his friend's wife that called me and said, Doreen, please, we are all here. Be coming. And I remember I think you had already danced to the front.
Already in front.
And I just strode, like, I just strode to me, you like, can we just do this thing and just go, and...
it was at that point I lost everything called honor and respect in the church.
I didn't even know the repercussion
it was a lot. I stopped getting opportunity to minister. I stopped even getting opportunity to even lead prayers. It was a lot. Everybody that I used to see, Brother Aaron, it was like from there, I just came down here. But God bless my mentor, because all of these things I was discussing with him, and for him, if he of course, he mentioned to me that, then he said something. There was a meeting I went to. He said, okay, you should have left before, but since you did not, now you have to choose, because at that point, I felt you were being very unruly. You had caused me to lose a lot of things. So that was the first time I ever considered if I was going to go ahead with the marriage, because I felt whatever it is, let me. Well, for that, it wasn't like I was being selfish, right? I knew that I was going to eventually leave, but I just wanted someone that would, like, of course, maybe I would say I overrated myself.
I just felt like you were being sentimental about everything, and it was affecting our personal life.
I was waiting to just see someone that I at least can replace me. And
that was the sentiments I was talking about.
Also, I wanted the pastor to release me. It was very important. As a man, I grew up as an Elijah. Of course, I'm a kingdom man. As an Elijah man.
Is where you're going now.
As an Elijah man. In fact, an Elijah man does not even share the same bedroom with their wife. they will call you when they need you. So that everything was happening at the same time. Then my mentor said to me, God bless him. God bless him. He said, I know you are going through a lot right now. Your ego, what people will say, you are battling it. But this is where you need to choose between your marriage and this particular church. At that point, I knew I needed to. And you know, I think I've mentioned this thing to you before. If there had been any time I'd ever considered divorce, it was at that point. Because I felt I am the man. If this is my decision, you are supposed to follow. And I understand, a lot was not working.
I wasn't growing spiritually.
You're not growing spiritually because of
I know I can be with my spiritual.
Then I know, just like the scripture says that I place before you death and life. And he also gave
choose life.
That was what my mentor did. He gave me 2 options, but I knew what he was trying to say. Guy. Then I knew what to do. At that point, I swallowed my pride. All my bruised ego and everything, I just packed everything. I'm serious. I went through a season of dishonor like never before in that church. People that, when they see me, they kneel down to greet. I became a laughing stock. I remember vividly, I had a sit down with someone, a minister too, who said, the conclusion is that I'm a weakling, and my wife just came. They used to see me as this very strong, but I'm a weakling. And my wife just came and dragged me. I cried. I didn't cry because I cried because I told God, you know the full picture. You know, ordinarily I would have left, but I stayed back because I wanted to help to build the new what's it called, merger. Then I think. At that point, I was when I needed to, I went to see the pastor for the very last time. I went with a gift. Good enough, he was there with the wife. I knelt down and I begged him. I told him that, of course, from the body language, it was still obvious that it is your wife that came to carry you. I begged him. I said, even if it's for the sake of my marriage, just let me go. Then, was at that time we left, and to tell the truth, it was from that time we began to see changes. It was at that period I got my first 7-figure deal. I started my own business then, and I remember the very first time I saw 1.4 million in my account. Jesus!
You knelt down, I was like,
instead of my hand, I said, God, so this thing is possible.
Oh my God!
And it's been testimony upon testimony, and and it was at that period, leaving to Ife started becoming a bit more clearer. And to tell the truth, I think you got to know about the Ife move before I did. And I felt, how will I now explain this again? That we were living Lagos to Ife, no family member. I don't have friends there. Even the business that I do, it's already becoming established in Lagos. I'm beginning to have clients, and now the next instruction is to leave for Ife. I struggled with it, but I knew what I faced.
The last time.
At the last time.
But do you know that I handled that one better?
No, I think you were now becoming more mature.
I allowed you.
Although the thing was still there, little, but
mature,
and so
I allowed you. In fact, I allowed you until the day you said, because I already started calling, making calls. Please, go look for a house for me. If it's only me, then maybe I'll be going, I'll be coming. And then I was so glad when you finally. I wasn't really going to make a move, in that sense, but I was going to go start the work and all then. But I was glad that you finally came. And I think this is where we need to even say this, that I think going by statistics, women that are spiritual wives, they can tend to pick things faster than the husband. And sometimes if it's not handled, properly.
It's obvious, right? Being the quiet person. You are the very outspoken one. You tend to... you know what you want, and it's a good thing. Actually, you know what you want, but I think it's good to mention that it has to be communicated with wisdom
And honor, yeah.
and honor, especially in that union of marriage.
Yeah.
Because the husband remains the head.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I've heard my mentor mention it to me. I've even heard my spiritual parent teach it, that some of these things, the wife gets to pick it first, but the way it is communicated, because see, whether you want to take it or not, men, we are very egoistic.
Yeah.
That is just what it is. We will know at times that the wife is saying the thing, and it has happened time and time again. But I say,
in fact, there was even one that I knew that this is what God showed me. I had visions. This is the next move, but you were not seeing it with me, and I was so close to it, like so close to the opportunity, and I missed it. Oh, the tourist baby thingy.
That one, I
saw it like this thing is going to happen. It was so clear, but you were not ready. So, and it was, in fact, the door just went boom. So I feel like as a couple, I think one of the challenges that people have, in marriage is this thing of oneness, being one. And even if you're the wife and you get to see that this is where the man has to go to, there is wisdom in communicating it. If you can communicate it, communicate it. If you can't communicate it, pray about it and say, God, show him. I remember a story that Pastor Funke shared with us, that a couple, they wanted to, the wife knew that they were not meant to relocate. And the husband was like, we must go. And the woman was like, okay, no problem. She went to her room and said, God, you said we should submit and all of that. No problem. I'm going to follow this man. And she followed and they traveled. And like 3 months later, they were back to Nigeria. And I heard that story a bit late. If I'd heard it like, in the beginning, I was like, okay, no problem. Let's just be like, okay, be in your church. I think I'm just going to be fine.
The things that also helped us were some of the things we established
and learned
and agreed on before saying I do.
Yeah.
And one was the Bible was going to be our go-to.
Yeah.
Although there were some things we did, but we established that. Two was we're going to have spiritual covering, like mentors that we were going to run to when we are both getting to loggerheads, right? And I think looking back 5 years, the detours, the problems, the issues we've had, the things that has helped us have been God's word, the fact that we had people that we could run to, because at the point when I was ready for you to start going to the other ministry, and I will remain here until that I think I'm released. If there was no covering, I would have said, okay, you know what, you just...
It would have looked really fine.
Because the truth is, perhaps would have still even been in Lagos. Because at that point, I didn't even know when I was going to leave this other ministry, because I just wanted until the pastor releases me. And it was a very interesting...
And I remember her telling me that this thing we're about to do, it's what some people have started, like a pastor is pastoring a church and his wife is attending another church. Like, it's just so wrong, And I remember when I told her what I did, how I didn't want to come for the Thanksgiving, and she said, go to your husband, go and apologize, kneel down and beg him. I was like, are you serious? What's this? And I remember I did that. Tell me you remember that I did that. I remember I knelt down to apologize, that I knew that what I did could have actually, broken the marriage, because I mean, that was really bold in unrighteousness,
But I remember the lashes that came after the 10 years.
I think someone asked, did you beat your wife afterwards? The what happened?
My siblings were embarrassed. My friends. And I think the particular friend that mentioned that statement was there.
Oh.
I think maybe that was the reason why he said, oh God, are you sure you even married right? Because it looks like your wife is not even happy and also. And the way the enemy works, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the guy innocently just mentioned that statement. But the way the statement was expanded in my heart was, but this guy is doing well. Since he got married, he's got a car, he moved into a bigger apartment. Every time they call to visit, I'm usually very concerned and scared, because it was going to be a time when you will not be happy. Because now people will come again and say, after 3 months, the last time they came, we still have not been able to afford a curtain in the house, not even talk of a TV or a sound system or even a good seater.
Furniture and
so it was a lot. And I want to mention a bit, maybe that will help us move into sex in marriage. the season when all of this was happening, sincerely, sex was, so at that point, if people were talking about they were enjoying sex in marriage, I can't even be in that gathering or even be in that convention, because it was a lot. You were not happy, and nothing was working. And I was working in Lekki. Lekki. My office was at Admiralty. So every day I go to the office, I see things.
What do you see?
I see things, and it became a struggle, because I was working as the ED. I had staffs, I had females that were around me, and that period was just a lot of period that it was a lot. But thank God, and I say this with a whole sense of humility, thank God for God's word. If there had been any time I would have messed up in marriage, would have been that period. The only thing that held me back was my fear for God.
And I think a statement that a spiritual father mentioned one time when you were a student. If your wife will not give you.
Yes.
I'm just so blessed.
And I'm saying this, and I'm saying it deliberately. The only reason, because for a young man that just got married, we're going 3 months, no sex. We're going 4 months, no sex. It was a lot. And funny enough, to the glory of God, I'd never had sex before marriage. So, like the Bible said, do not awaken love before it's time. So at that point, doing honeymoon, it has been awakened. So I tasted it. So I wanted it. But at that point, you were not happy, and I think they say when a woman is not happy, she wouldn't want to have sex. And whether we are happy, we are sad, we are rich, we are poor, we want.
I remember, jelly that people use every 1 month. I think our own was spending 1 year.
That period, I went through every sexual temptation you can think about. It was a lot. I was working. I was always around Admiralty, because one of our store was there. The ladies coming around. I had female staff, and like I said, the only thing, and God sees my heart, the only thing that kept me was the fear of God. Because I would come home, there were nights you wouldn't want to talk to me. Following morning I left, there was just fights here. And then I knew that it was just because you were not happy, you were not comfortable. The basic thing that could make a woman feel really comfortable were not there, and it was just a lot. So
I think I just sort of floated and rested on the fact that we were friends. And I feel like that really helped us a lot. Even though a lot of things were not working, we're not happy, like things were not really, but the fact that we were friends, really helped us. Remember how someone came over to the house and said, "Oh, there was joy." I was like, they said that, and I was like, there's something about this place, that I could sense joy. I was just smiling that, and it made me realize something that season. And I think I said it to you one night when we went out to ShopRite. I said that I've come to realize that what makes a happy home is not the furnitures and the things in the house and the things the couples possess. Is actually what the couples share themselves. That's what makes a home happy. That's how we've been able to go through. Because I've heard of people that are divorced and they've never gone through half of what we've been through. We've been through, financial issues and debts here and there, and we would just trust God and all of that. And some of these issues that people have been through, they've divorced. And I'm wondering, like, God, so what really helped us was basically we were really friends. We courted for 4 years, 9 months, and 20 days, And it's not really about even the length of how much I think you just have to be friends. It's really important, and we're friends.
What also helped me particularly, even at the time when there were a lot of things you were doing, then was because I think we did courtship right. We prayed, we studied God, so we attended meetings, engages and engagers by Pastor Shegun and Funke Obajide, Sanctuary of Hope, relationship meetings. We're praying together, we're doing a lot of spiritual activities together.
Praying for our future.
I think it was upon those foundations that we could build those seasons when it was like nothing was working. I think those were the things that
really
helped
truly helped us. Those were like the trends.
So the season season of courtship is actually also very important, and to tell the truth, it actually is something that really helped us. Let's not. I was going to talk about sex, so let's come back.
You know, like in fact, it was even when we're cutting. You found like you heard that statement where Pashagun was like, if your wife doesn't give it to you, so you give it to the Lord.
We were at a mentoring meeting,
Yeah.
and a guy asked a question, and the question was, he has heard, I think it was even a married man, so he asked the question, and of course he wrote it on a paper, and he said that the wife has given birth twice through the normal, and now there's a lot, the place is, I'm trying to be careful with my words right now.
This is now wide, like you said.
Developing with you. So that now he's no longer enjoying sex.
He's now doing it with younger girls.
And he was justifying it. And with a lot of wisdom, Pastor explained that the truth is there's no justifiable reason why you should do that. Yeah, he mentioned that there are things to do to also help the lady. They're kind of exercises and all this thing, but there was a statement he made that I held on to, and that was the fact that, in his words, that the wife will never be a reason why he will stand before God, and God will judge him for sexual infidelity. Right. So that word stuck. So I concluded in my heart that then whether my wife gives it to me, she doesn't give sex to me, I will give it to the Lord.
Hallelujah.
And because the first 2-3 years in marriage, sex was a luxury for me, because there was a lot going on with you. 3 months, I can't even touch you. And it was a lot. I was a young man who had prepared my mind. I had
for everyday sex.
Everyday sex, yes. I kept myself. Will you blame me? I kept myself.
Oh my God.
So I was waiting that all the things I did not enjoy in courtship, when I married, and it was hard, because I literally now almost was thinking, perhaps maybe if I'd even enjoyed this thing in courtship or something, maybe I wouldn't even be feeling like. But to tell the truth, I'm happy. I kept myself, because perhaps if I'd had sex before marriage, I think it would have been more difficult to keep myself during those periods when we were going through all of those seasons and all. And I'm grateful to God now. I am grateful to God right now. I remember someone met me recently, and the guy was concerned. He called me and said, Aaron, people are running away from those places to Lagos. You guys are going to Ife. I want to understand. Sincerely, my words to him, even me, I don't understand. I'm just following God. And I said to him that since I got married, even though with the fact that I'm shuttling, because of my business, I'm shuttling Lagos and Ife, since I got married, I've never enjoyed my wife and my family like I am right now. I've had more sex in the last 1 year since I've had the past 4 years.
Being in the right place.
Just, with the fact that I shot through Lagos, and I've had more sex, I've spent more time with both you and the kids. Plus COVID-19 period, that because the guy also mentioned it, that because I told him that sincerely, when we were in Lagos, I practically wasn't spending time. I said, what about COVID? I said, my wife, we were not together. My wife at the mom's place, I was alone in a way and all. But now I think we moved to Ife now. December 15 made it 1 year. Yes, December 15 made it 1 year. And I lift up my hands every day, and I thank God that I accepted to go to Ife, because now I can spend more time with my children, and it's not because it's Ife, it's because we are the center of God's will.
It's so beautiful. That's what really makes marriage beautiful, and I feel like most couples are struggling because they are not at the center of God's will. And talking about that sex struggle, I would love to speak from like my perspective. I know that what I did was wrong, because I remember reading a book by Dukoya before I got married, and she said something like, even though you're not in the mood, just take vitamin C, and go and bathe and be in the mood. And I laughed it up, like, is it that hard? Like, what's there, Jerry? And I remember I'll be gisting with my girlfriends, like, when we get married, it's going to be like everywhere, in the washing machine, on top of the ceiling, everywhere, back to back. It didn't happen for me like that. I literally was looking for my libido, like, libido, where did you go to? There are times I literally ask God, what's going on? And I had to literally face it, to be honest. Because, I was, I'd done all of that in the past. I'd, explored and all of that. So I looked forward to, sex in marriage, and I was super excited. In fact, during honeymoon, I literally pushed like, guy, oh yeah, let's do this thing. I was excited, but the challenges that hit us in marriage, I think it affected my libido, and I had to just go to God and say, God, bring this thing back, because my husband is not happy and I can't continue like, because I could even go a year without sex with the way I was going and I was happy, because I loved you, you loved me, you were a good guy, loved the Lord, you feared God. So I felt like, I was there, but I knew that wasn't the way I was taught. That wasn't what my mentors are taught, me. So I had to just say, God, I remember I would take confessions. I'll say, I like sex in the name of Jesus. Sex is amazing. I love it. I love having sex with my husband. I'll be declaring those words. So those were like the faith, the battles I had to fight that you didn't know about.
I would want to say to you that you are an amazing woman.
Thought you were like, give you a
it comes with a package.
Yeah.
But I've seen you grow. I know some of those things were because of the access to the knowledge that you had. I've seen you grow. I've seen you work at the weaknesses, same as myself, and I'm glad I'm doing this with you. I'm glad that I made the decision to stay. I'm glad that we went to Ife. I'm glad that right now we've got to the point where if God says it is Kafancha, we'll go. And I want to tell you that we're in for the long haul. Yeah.
Thank you for doing life with me, to be honest. Growing up from a home where you get to see your dad, maltreat, your mom. I remember as a young girl, age 7, my mom's neck, due to fight, was broken. So she had this thing on her neck. She had just gone through a eye surgery. My dad, broke the glass, and the glass particle entered her eyes. So she was really in pain, and I looked at her and I said, Mommy, I don't want to get married. Like, this is what people go through. And she said, it's okay if that's what you want. But getting born again, I literally lived my life outside Christ, seeing that marriage was all a mess. Someone even saying to me as a young girl that if my husband is going out, I'll put condom in his pocket as he's going out, because I don't want somebody that will bring a bastard home. I grew up in a family and an environment where cheating was the norm. Like, a family member could come to my house and he could tell my mom that, I'm going to worry, my girlfriend is coming around. And even my wife, she would come around, so she will see that they've cooked for me. Like, now your girlfriend cooked this one, Abby. Like, it was a norm. My dad's friends would come with their girlfriends. My mom would cook. My mom would even cook food for my dad's girlfriends. It was all a mess, and getting into Christ, getting to OAU, getting to church, GLT, the seeing couples, and I was like, God, this is all different. And I remember listening to a lot of relationship messages, just sort of to get my mind renewed, that this is different, living with Christian couples and seeing how they treated their wives, and then getting married to you and seeing that, oh my goodness, this is really what it means to be married, kingdom marriage. I mean, in all of the things I took you through, you never raised your hands. One day, you never. And I grew up in a home where my mom didn't do half, and she was literally beaten. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for proving to me that they're still good men. Yeah. And I always say this, that our daughters, you are like the person I will just show to them that, see, if the guy cannot meet the standard of your dad, forget it. Don't even bring him to me. Thank you for loving me, for being true to the marriage covenant. And I literally pray and tell God to really help me to be the wife that you really deserve. Thank you. Thank you so much. And happy birthday in advance. Thank you for doing life with me. Thank you.
Give God praise.
I love you.
I love you too, babe. Marriage is God's idea. It's not man's idea. It's only fair or reasonable or sensible that we go to him for how marriage should be done. And it's all there in God's word. We can't go to Hollywood, Nollywood, Bollywood, and all the woods to get wisdom for marriage. We go to God's word. It's simple. Just do what the word says, and you'll be fine.
I know that there are a lot of, news out there that marriages are eating the rocks, it's all a make-believe, it's not really working, people are faking it and all that. There are no good men out there, but it's not true. If you do marriage rightly and you do marriage, working with the one who instituted marriage, it would help you get it right. And I want to say that women, girls, young girls, don't allow the things you grew up seeing, the way your father maltreated your mom, affect you, in how you relate with the person that God brings your way. That person is not your father. It's not your, it's not the, people you've, interacted with in the past. This man is different. This man was, it's God's gift to you. I would have made that mistake and it would have really, boomeranged. But I'm grateful to God that I get to do life with a man that literally loves me, supports me. And it was because I took a decision as a single and I said, God, I would do relationship with you. I would sit down and allow you bring the person you want for me. I had to break away from every ungodly relationship at that time. God said, break off from everybody that you're doing this nonsense with and wait for the man that I'll bring to you. And God truly fulfilled his word. So I would say that marriage relationship, if we take God out of it, we are going nowhere. We're going nowhere. Thank you.